Signs in the sun, moon, and stars. We're back with the 7th trump. Hanukkah 2020. Signs in the sun, moon, and stars. We're going to see a total solar eclipse on December the 14th, which is the end of the betrothal. And I believe it's the coming of the king. We're going to dig deeper to find these signs. In our last videos, we looked at Steve Fletcher and Leland Jones looking at the codes within the signs of the eclipses, the blood moons, how this all ties in to the 7th trump, and the work of all of these watchmen is a great blessing for the entire body of Messiah, because each watchman is getting a different piece. It's like the Creator is divvying out all of the pieces of the puzzle to different watchmen, so that we will have to work together to put the puzzle together. And without working together, we will not get the puzzle done. So I believe that this is a message to the body of Messiah to stop with the division and to start looking at ways to unify the information that the Creator is delivering in dreams, in visions, in all of these codes. And we have to stop dividing and start adding. Together we improve. Together we make this work, and together we get this puzzle done faster. So let's dig deeper. The first thing that we're going to do is go to Stellarium. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the betrothal code. And the piece of the puzzle that I received was this Enoch code. And I was watching multiple watchmen online, Tim Foster, Elaine from Ministry Revealed, watching multiple watchmen that were breaking down the codes. There's literally 20 or 30 of them that were all getting very similar codes, but in different ways. And these codes, if taken together, put together an amazing story. So what I'm going to attempt to do today is break down what was given to me by me being open to all of the calendars, to all of the watchmen, regardless of what their beliefs were or what their idea of the scripture was. The Father showed me a long time ago that in order for me to decipher what was going on, I needed to be able to cast no judgment on any of these people and to do the work of a Berean. And as a Berean, if you read the scriptures, they accepted all things with a glad heart, and they went away with a glad heart, not arguing, not bickering, not fighting. They went away with a glad heart, and then they went to go prove out the matter with scripture. And I believe this is the missing key for us, especially within the Watchman crew, because the Watchman crew are very biblically studied. They are educated in scripture, and that's why they have gotten the message or feel that they have to get on the wall to start watching. You're not going to choose to do that kind of a job unless you are very versed in Scripture. I myself am trained in apologetics, and I am trained in hundreds of different ways of looking at ancient religion. Hundreds of different ways. Because my work as a watchman is to bring in those that see this from a different perspective. There are many within the New Age community and within the what I consider the Illuminist community. These are your Masons and your Jews that are Kabbalists. They believe that the majority of our population are, excuse me for saying this, but they believe that everybody is dumb. And they believe that the mind of mankind has been dumbed down because they cannot see that the stories in the Bible and the stories of every ancient culture is talking about the celestial signs. And the enemy has done an amazing job of corrupting the story so bad that the people who should know this are afraid of it. They're afraid to touch the stars and the sun and the moon and the planets and the names of all these things because they believe that it's all of the devil. And so they give all of their power to the enemy, because with that idea or with that mentality, what you're saying is that the enemy is the creator of all of these things. And nothing can be further from the truth. The enemy is the maker of nothing. He is a thief and a liar. All he does is corrupt what's already there. And the way that he seeks to gain his power and his crown and his authority is by corrupting the story that's already there and then getting everybody to believe it. So this is why we have all of the corruption within the sun and the moon and the stars. So we have many, many watchmen, great brothers and sisters that are doing amazing work online, but they believe that these signs are showing us things that are in the opposite of what I believe. These ancient signs from these ancient customs were showing us exactly what the Mazzaroth is showing us today. But we can't see that because the enemy has corrupted the story and we're automatically looking to judge it. So what I'm going to attempt to do today is to restore what the Creator established from the very beginning. And the only way to corrupt this story is to not get this part of it. And so we're going to dig deeper today, looking into the signs within the heavens, because the heavens are placed there in this order and in this manner for us to be able to read the stars as a story. And if you position the sun and the moon within different houses at different times, then the story is lost. And in ancient times, this sun in these houses, in these specific positions, was our way of guiding time. And that was lost through the ages. And we can see how that was lost because there became a mighty difference between the ancient Sumerian and Egyptian, Babylonian customs of counting the years and the way of marking the years. And we can see that in history. These aren't things that anybody has to debate about, because this is all history. And that's why if we read the book of Jubilees, or if we go into Enoch or any of the other books that are awakening the eyes of many of the watchmen to the corrupted calendars, we see that there is a difference between the way that Enoch calculated time and the way that we are calculating time now with the tracking of the moon. And Enoch's calendar was 364 days. And we know that the sun travels through the ecliptic at 365.25 or 24 days. So it's not 364 days. And we know that the moon is a 354-day circuit. And so if we read the book of Jubilees, we will see that the reason that there is a corruption of 10 days is because the year difference is 10 days. It's 364 days on what we call a star chart, and 354 days on a moon chart. And Enoch and his calculations were not pegged to the ancient way that the pagans measured the spring and the autumnal equinox. There is scripture that talks about that there will be no shadow of turning. I'll have to pull that scripture up in the next video. We'll go over that in the next video. But when you understand that scripture, then you understand that this is how corruption came about. That they were looking at shadows. And they were looking at a physical manifestation here on the planet when in my view, all of these things are spiritual and heavenly. And our Messiah spoke many times about this, that we are so earthly minded that we miss the heavenly reality, and we need to be able to understand the heavenly reality in order to grasp what is manifesting in the physical. Otherwise, things will be backwards, and then the enemy will have his way because we will be upside down. So let's get into this and explore how this works with the betrothal. So what we're looking at here is December the 21st. And forgive me, I'm going to get us back to the 0 hour, just so we can see everything from the 0 hour. And we're going to explore how these signs work so that we can understand exactly what's going on with this betrothal period. So, if you haven't seen any of my video series on the wedding betrothal, or the ancient Israelite marriage customs. It's very, very informative and important for you to be able to go back and see those videos to truly grasp. If you're not deeply versed in Mazzaroth, then you may miss some of the things that I'm going to be showing you. So the first thing I would do is go back and watch that full series, and then come back and you'll have a much deeper understanding of what I'm about to break down. So, for those of you who are versed in Mazzaroth and you feel like you have a good grasp of Stellarium and how all these things work, let's go into this betrothal period. So, as I was studying scripture of what I had learned from Tim Foster and Elaine and multiple other watchmen, as I have said, Leland Jones and Steve Fletcher and Lynn Lott, and there are so many amazing watchmen out there that are doing such a great job at breaking down all of these codes. For those of you who have not watched Lynn Lott's latest series, you'll understand by watching her videos how the creator is using all of the different calendars to put all these things together. And I understand we're all on different timelines. We're all looking at different timelines, and we're all getting different pieces of the puzzle. But I truly believe he's going to sew it all together and use all of these different pieces of the puzzle to get us all to where we need to be and more unified. The body of Messiah can't be, I've never seen anything like it. The people who are supposed to be representing the Messiah the most are the most divided and most, it's just constant bickering, it's constant arguing. Everybody's looking to find something wrong with their brothers and sisters, and from my understanding, this is the spirit of condemnation, and the spirit of condemnation comes from you know who. So I'm going to cast all that aside, and I'm going to bring out a call to the watchmen that we unify for the Messiah. That we have a very important job right now to bring the body of Messiah clarification. And I believe that this one piece of the puzzle is the most vital piece of the entire thing. Because we're talking about a marriage. And this is a marriage covenant. And this is everything about our bridegroom. I mean, it is stamped and sealed in the scriptures when it talks about the son being the bridegroom and coming out of his chamber. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the chamber of the son and how this period right here has been corrupted in the ancient pagan religions, but this is our story. Do not let the enemy rob this story from you, and I'm going to express deeply that this happened to me. As I got deeper and deeper into my studies, and I became more and more zealous for the truth, I saw all of these ancient religions who were worshiping the sun, and I saw this sun worship as the worship of Satan. And I saw Christmas as the worship of Satan. And I got to the point where I believed that everybody that was participating in Christmas and all of the customs of the ancient sun religions was Satanism. And I was blinded to all of the study that had to do with all of these, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of these things, until about 20 years ago, when I started studying the Dead Sea Scrolls. And when I came across this Dead Sea Scroll information, my eyes were awoken at a level that I had never. I mean, it was something that was very special, because I was able to see in a way that allowed me to radically shift my idea of reality. And this was life-changing, because my entire, I lost, at that point, it was like that song, Losing Your Religion. I felt like my entire religion had disappeared, and that I was breaking ground on a whole new reality of what my beliefs meant to me, and what that meant for my understanding of the sun and the moon and the stars, and how mankind had corrupted all of these things. So that mission has been over 20 years of studying the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of the alternative, we'll call them alternative writings. A lot of these books are not accepted as canon, but I do not believe that the Spirit wants us to be afraid of any book, especially when you're doing the kind of work I'm doing. I believe that it's vital for me and people who do my kind of work to know everything that the enemy's putting out there, because I'm going to have a deeper grasp of what's being taught on the opposite side, and I'm going to be able to defend against that because of my deep knowledge of Scripture and my ability to defend the truth. Now, we all have a different understanding of what that Scripture means, and we all have a different level of understanding of truth. But what we're going to do today is break down how these signs in the sun and the moon and the stars are vital for us to understand this wedding model, or this wedding code. And the way that I came to this was by studying the book of Enoch, and I also came to grasp this because of the planet Uranus. And in code, Uranus is Enoch. And when I studied the planet Uranus and its movements, it led me to a 21 code. And I was already over a year, like almost 2 years into watching all of the videos from Elaine at Ministry Revealed. And prior to me watching Elaine's videos, I had been watching Brother Tim Foster's videos and a couple other watchmen who were showing that there are multiple escapes, and that Scripture is is in the New Testament is not speaking to the same group of people, and there were people who were putting out a lot of questions. And then I found Ministry Revealed, and he was doing a wonderful job. Elaine at Ministry Revealed, a knockdown, amazing job of showing in detail how the scriptures in the New Testament were speaking to different groups of people, and showing how this period of time was 14 years. And then what I did is, because I'm a Berean and I'm going to do my due diligence, I don't listen to something and just believe it because it sounds good. I go and I do deep research to prove it. And I couldn't find any kinks in the armor. They had many days that they were looking at as the time of escape that came and went, and I don't believe that the calendar that they're watching is correct, because most of these groups and most of these watchmen are following Jew time. And what I mean by that is that they're following the modern Jewish calendars, which is going off of either a dark or a sliver moon phase. And in my eyes, that's where the corruption comes in. But I believe, like I said before, and if you listen to Lynn Lott's channel, you'll hear her also say that the Father's going to use all of these calendars and tie them all together. And I can't help but imagine that the Father would want to use the Jewish calendar to show them that the bride was taken, in their times and on their calendar, and that it would align in a way with other calendars, and that we would all be able to come together and see this as one solid timeline. So in the wedding betrothal, we have a 1-year period where when the bride and the groom come together and sign the contract, and the groom gives the bride the wedding ring, then you have a 1-year period where the bridegroom goes to prepare a home for him and the bride. And in ancient times, this was actually a place within the father's house. And because it was going to take time for the son to be able to be on his own, there was a place within the father's house, and the son went back for a year to prepare that place, to get it all ready for him and his bride to live together. So they didn't live together for an entire year. And so I was looking for proof within the heavens of this marriage, and I couldn't find it anywhere else except for within this part of the code. So what I'm going to show you is the beginning of the betrothal period. And then we're going to look at the end of the betrothal period, and then we're going to talk about the 7 years prior to that betrothal period. So here we are at December the 21st, 2019, and we have the sun in the center of the Milky Way. So we can see here that this position here, you can see the clouds, and the clouds over on this side, and you can see this dark area right here that comes through the Milky Way. This is considered the center And we call this the Golden Gate. And if you are familiar with your Mazzaroth, then you'll understand that we're sitting in the Golden Gate. If you've watched Kurt Jurgen's videos, especially from last year at this time, all the way up until December, January, we were really doing great research in the signs that were in the heavens at this time of the year. So on December the 21st, 2019, we have the end of the 7 years for the Gentile bride. And what we're looking at is 3 sets of 7, and this is the end of the first set of 7. And we're looking at the sun in the Milky Way at the Golden Gate, and Jupiter, the king planet, is in the arc or the bow of Sagittarius. And the messenger, Michael, the messenger angel, is in the Hoopa. And what we see is this is December the 21st. And all of you who have done your research into